Because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that.
So here we are.
Attorney General of this state is a disgrace. Letitia James is a disgrace. She's a disgrace.
We did not expect this result.
The appalling misconduct by the racist and incompetent New York State Attorney General, Letitia Peekaboo James. You ever hear of her, Peekaboo James?
That simple but fundamental pillar of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to all of us.
A radical left Attorney General like Letitia James.
No matter how powerful you are,
she's bad news, and everybody knows it.
no matter how much money you think you may have,
And then, you know, she ran for governor. She got like 2% or something.
that is not true.
Peekaboo.
Today, justice has been served.
This raging maniac campaigned for office, ranting and raving.
She's a political hack, the Attorney General.
No one is above the law.
Well, what do we have here? It looks like the chickens have come home to roost because Letitia Peekaboo James has been exposed as committing financial fraud, the exact same thing that she had accused falsely of Donald Trump doing, you know, where she accused him of inflating the property value of Mar-a-Lago and saying that he somehow wronged someone, even though they never sued him and all parties were satisfied. But no, that wasn't good enough for Letitia Peekaboo James because she campaigned on getting Trump. So she had to do it.
The President of the United States has complained that I'm engaging in some sort of political witch hunt, that I've got some personal vendetta against him, that I campaigned against him. That is not true.
This illegitimate president who sits in the White House. That president, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. And ultimately, will bring him down. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. And the day of Donald Trump going nowhere. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up.
Excuse me, my turn.
Meanwhile, apparently she's married to her daddy and she lives in Norfolk, Virginia, and lives out of New York. Make it make sense. This is clear-cut smoking gun where anyone could easily understand what this crime is. Now, obviously, depending on how this is going to be adjudicated is going to be a determination of how things go. For example, they try something out in New York. I mean, these courts are woke, so maybe they'll just say, nothing to see here. You know, this is political persecution. We're throwing it out. But if it goes up to the federal level, which it looks like it is, then she's toast. So Donald Trump already responded to this news about her financial mortgage fraud on his True Social post here. This was actually a couple days ago. Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, should resign from her position as New York State Attorney General immediately. Everyone is trying to make New York great again, and it can never be done with this wacky crook in office. 100% agreed. This is a lady who was so vengeful. On top of everything else, she also was trying to take his life's work at Trump Tower.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Now, karma is hitting her like a freaking ton of bricks. This is hilarious, and I don't give a damn if they call it retribution. I don't care what they call it. The fact remains, I guarantee you, every last one of these people who are in like these high positions, they've done something in their life nefarious to get there. Every single one of them, especially the ones who are accusing other people of doing it and trying to persecute others. The ones who are first to cast the stones are always the ones with the glass houses. Now, I want to go ahead and react to the Ingraham Angle here because they have this somewhat lengthy video, so I'm not going to delay much, but they're going into all the detail about what she did wrong. It is a quite smoking gun, very different from the nonsense that she got Donald Trump on fraudulently and falsely that's still in appeals court. But here, this is indisputable. I am like dying to know how they're going to try to dispute this in court. Let's get into this.
It's important that attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law. The President of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
And now the Trump Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type and more favorable loan. Joining me now is Jonathan Turley, Fox News contributor and law professor.
It sounds pretty deliberate, doesn't it?
At GW University. Jonathan, mortgage fraud is rampant in the United States. There's all sorts of fraud that's rampant. There's disability fraud that they've vowed to crack down on in the Trump administration. But this is another thing that they have vowed to crack down on because it costs real money. Your reaction to these allegations?
Well, obviously, the irony is perfectly crushing. This is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were brought in New York in not just the civil but the criminal case was making false or misleading statements to financial institutions. And one of these sections, Section 1014 of the federal code, is prosecuted. It took me about 60 seconds of a search to find cases that the Department of Justice brought against people who falsely claimed that property was their principal residence in order to get loans. So this is well-tread areas for the Justice Department. As for James, if we apply the Letitia James standard that she created, there'd be little question here. This seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence. But also, they claim that in some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court...
Well, I can hear it now. Yeah, I mean, it was just like an administrative error. It was a typo. Like, I didn't mean it. It was an accident. And since they're so woke, again, depending on how this goes, I mean, this is going to the DOJ, which is federal. But, I mean, it just depends on if they try to do something like prosecute locally or they try to prosecute it federally is really going to determine how this is going to go.
Just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements. Either it's your principal residence or it's not.
Or it's not.
Either you're married to your father or he's your father. So they can this can satisfy the Thompson standard.
You know, she's a lawyer. She knows that when you sign a mortgage application, that mortgage application, if you're borrowing money, if you're not borrowing money, nobody cares whether it's your principal residence, except, you know, where you file your taxes. But she decided to state that that was her principal residence, knowing it was not her principal residence. I didn't even know she had property. I mean, I guess she had property in Virginia and she has rental or investment property in New York. That's fine. But in the New York matter, to get the favorable rate, the building could only have 4 units, but for it looks like the entirety of this building, it had 5 units, meaning it was in violation of the actual loan agreement. And again, this is not a novel application of the law, Jonathan, as you stated during the persecution of Donald Trump. She was using all these novel applications of law to go after him.
These people were never smart enough to compete with somebody like Donald Trump, who dots his I's and crosses his T's. When they weren't doing that. They just didn't have anybody looking into them and trying desperately to get them. But now that the tables turned, these people didn't even cover their own ass. How stupid could you be to try to go after a person who was the most powerful person in the world and then became again the most powerful person in the world, and you didn't even cover your own ass? Stupid.
This isn't novel. This is a black and white issue. You either did or you didn't.
Right, and this has been prosecuted in the past. Now, we have not heard her side of this, but these documents themselves are quite damning. It's hard to see how the residences listed were her principal residence. The business about her father is just bizarre. Now, I'll note that one of the things that Letitia James stressed in her case against Trump is that Trump had to review documents that were filed in his name. And so she dismissed the argument that this was something that Trump's people put together. She said he's ultimately responsible. So they allege that she gave a power of attorney in a couple of these instances, but according to her own standard, that's not enough. And this is really for James the very case that she most famously brought. She insisted that these technicalities matter and that the powerful should not be given a free pass.
Yeah.
Well, that bill has come due in this case. She's going to have to deal with this filing. I'm honestly just not sure how you defend against this unless you say that these are fraudulent documents.
Jonathan, I have to raise this because the Democrats,
she's gonna try something. Obviously, she's just gonna make stuff up. It's a political persecution by an authoritarian regime, the oligarchy, and Elon Musk. Like, these people are just gonna say anything to win, and it's not gonna work. Saying anything to win didn't win you the presidency. It's not gonna win in court either because this is very cut and dry.
When this really starts to blow up, which it should after the show, they're going to say, look, aha, see, this is a revenge presidency. They're weaponizing the DOJ against Democrats, so it's a tit for tat. Do you see?
Even if they say that, here's what's funny about it. Even if they say that, it doesn't matter. Did it matter when they tried it against Trump? I mean, not really. I mean, well, technically, it's one of the reasons he ended up winning. But in terms of what they claim was the validity of the cases, did it matter to the juries, the jurors? No. Did it matter to the judges? No. In this case, should it matter to the jury? Well, we think it's revenge, so we're just going to throw it. No, it doesn't matter. You should have got your boy Sleepy Joe to give you one of those pardons that he gave all of his best buds. And you know who else he didn't give it to? Fonnie Willis. So Letitia James, Fonnie Willis, Alvin Bragg, none of y'all dumbass ass-licking black folks got any type of pardons, and all his people did. I told y'all he didn't care about black people.
Well, we are certainly living in that age, but the fact is James herself rejected that argument made when she brought, in my view, a ludicrous case in New York. That case was something that ultimately resulted in a grotesque ruling. By the way, the timing here is not good. We're waiting for the appellate decision to come down. It's been a very long time. Each day we're looking for the appellate court to issue the review. Many of us expect that it will not go well for James, but having this pop up in the news just couldn't be great for her team. I'm sure they are really
melting
in a
down.
very tight fetal position right now.
Guys, this is what happens when you mess with the Don, the Teflon Don. Okay, he's too tough, he's too strong, he's literally surviving headshots, he's getting hit in the ear by bullets, and he's getting up and he's talking about some fight, and he's got everything against, he got all the courts against him, all the fake news, and they're still against him, by the way. And he just keeps fighting and he keeps winning, but these Democrats just keep losing. And the funny thing is, they wouldn't be losing as bad if they would have just left him alone and kind of just been normal. Do your little smears, fine, name call them, okay. Brainwash people against them, lie on them, okay. But once you start the lawfare against them, oh, no. No holds barred. I don't give a damn if it is revenge. Do it. Okay, lock this fat bitch up like Mike Davis said.
And we will put your fat ass in prison.
Let me know what you guys think. You think Letitia James is guilty? And if she is, do you think anything's gonna happen to her? No pardons. I'm just saying, but let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
You gotta go to jail too.
No one is above the law.